Hello, fellow listeners. This is Gary from Omegaxis Gaming. We're hosting another podcast about gaming media and gaming journalism. Okay, we just got finished off with breakfast. There's a whole bunch of soda cans and coffee and everything at the table to get hyped for this podcast. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and just kind of jump into the topic. We got a couple of people around the table, but when you go to speak this time, you actually introduce yourself before you speak instead of doing the round table thing like we did before. So, one of the biggest things about gaming journalism or media is how they portray our culture. Okay, and we can honestly say from a starting standpoint that we don't feel collectively, and I'll speak boldly about it, that media does the right thing showing like what our culture is actually about. So, does anybody got anything to say about that in particular?
I do, in particular.
Everybody's hands go up.
I gotta say, at least one thing about journalism. I feel like that it doesn't.
But we don't even know who you are.
Yeah, would you say your name?
You. All right. My name is Insidious.
AKA.
No. That was my AKA.
Go ahead.
I don't want to use my real name. I want to be an enigma.
Unknown source.
Yeah.
I don't want to be gunned later.
Okay.
White
Subject.
So, go ahead.
But I feel like with journalism, with gaming journalism, that it hits more for more people. Like, it doesn't just go for the gamers like it's supposed to. It goes for the consumers and it goes for everyone. And I feel like that's not what it was meant to be. I think it was meant to be for gamers and gamers exclusive because that's who is going to be tuning in. But then they go off and get everyone's consensus on it, and it doesn't bode well for gamers because it hits a lot of people who don't even know about it, and it just trash talks with them not even knowing about it.
Okay, so all right. With that being said, how do you feel when you see a gaming specific journalistic piece of material end up on like a bigger news outlet? Like, let's say League of Legends has their big tournaments that have big cash prize outs. How do you feel when CNN talks about that? Like, how do you guys feel? Not you specifically.
Yeah, I feel like with people. I'm
not trying to stir up controversy. This is true. I'm just asking questions about things I personally feel. Like, for example, I personally did not feel good about seeing on Yahoo News Angry Joe's rant about Nintendo. You know, I didn't like that there. I really didn't, because it portrayed our culture as this culture that likes to complain about a big business that just made a business decision about YouTube.
So, and with sometimes I apologize. And with sometimes that we get bad publicity, it's some of the bad publicity is kind of hard to recover from.
So I'm Zodiac, and I would just like to talk about this topic as well. As far as it being on a different news outlet, like if CNN did cover LCS or a big championship, I feel like due to the demographic of non-gamers, people who wouldn't be in the loop, they would downplay it at a certain extent. Instead of going, these are athletes, these are people who work hard, because they don't dig that deep. They're just doing a story.
No, and they do. They actually, there is footage of news outlets making fun of the fact that they didn't know gamers could make that much money off of video games.
The reaction isn't, wow, these guys are competitive, they're training for like their Olympics. It's like, gamers, neat.
Yeah.
Back to you, Chet.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Okay, now this is Ice Stage right here, aka D. Oof. Oh boy. You brought the only example. I gotta call this out right now, because we had a big conversation about this in the past about when Brian Gumble talked about the LCS.
Yeah.
It was okay. It's like you got 4 people that are completely out of the loop when it comes to gaming. You got one guy trying to defend it, but 4 people just absolutely bashing the hell out of it.
Yeah. Right.
And their whole deal was and then they should have joked about one of the dudes who were working there. He's like, "Oh, you got the build to be a gamer. Why didn't you do this stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh my god." See, it's one thing to look at sports. It's another thing to look at how esports have grown up, and then to just talk down upon it. When I'm like, sports have all at one point or another, sports have been considered just a game and a joke.
Right. Right. It's professional sports.
And-
And NFL at one point was just considered a game. Basketball was just considered a game. So I'm like, what's the difference between like a video game now being along the same levels as the NBA and the NFL?
So what? Okay. With that being said, what do you think is? Can anyone remember a specific incident where there was a positive exposure on the mainstream of gaming, the gaming culture itself? On mainstream, like name the source.
I don't think it was on Yahoo. It might have been, but the speedrunners, like the guy's proposal to his girlfriend was. I believe I saw that somewhere. That wasn't confirmed.
That was not on the news. That was not on the local news. Or on the
last time I'm talking about positive, because the last time I saw something on like maybe it was Fox News. Fox News actually had that broadcast about Dota. Yeah, it was about Dota and how their prize pot, because everybody knows Dota's prize pot was just like a big deal.
Like $1 million for 5.
Yeah. And they were legitimately laughing at it, but just like thinking it was pretty ridiculous that that much money could even go into it. But what I'm asking is that do you remember any type of like positive feedback that an actual a news outlet might have? Does anybody know? And that's the point that I'm trying to make. Like, everyone is silent about that because this is where gaming journalism doesn't make up for it. Like, this is where they're dropping the ball. Like, we are not being represented as a culture that is a fulfilling, that is an educational, that is an ever-bonding social culture. And we're not being portrayed that way. We're not at all. And that's I honestly blame people like Angry Joe for his rants. Like, I know he has satire that makes him money, and that's what his business is in. But he doesn't. It doesn't seem as if he understands the overall effect it has on our culture as far as representation.
Well, this is Jagd here. I don't know about that because I don't think it's actually Angry Joe's fault that media is only picking up him. He's putting out content that gamers like to watch. It's proof with how many subscribers he has.
Right.
But it's the main media outlets that are picking only him up and not anybody else.
Well, I mean, like, they're yeah, you're right about that, but
I mean, I just don't think it's fair to actually blame him for his content.
Well, see, he started that snowball effect. If we're going to talk about him, he started a snowball effect because what he had to say made it to where developers had something to say about it. And then that's when Twitter came in, and the developers from not Halo, not
I know Rooster Teeth said something about it.
Yeah, Rooster Teeth said something about it. What?
And the big
studio is that? But one of the developers, one of the big guys from the studio, actually said that he was arrogant, and that if a big business decides to make a business decision, that they should respect that business, even though he says that it wasn't something that was smart. You know, it is not Joe's place to actually complain about equipment that he buys, because...
Well, okay. How about the Xbox One then? Should we not have complained about all the proprietary stuff before it came out?
No,
because it's a big business and it's their big business decision to have, you can't share games or anything. No. That's a big business decision to make them money, just like Nintendo's doing.
Right, that's a good point.
Right, but that's from the consumer itself did not want that product.
It started with the reviewers as well.
Now, when you talk about Angry Joe in YouTube, when you talk about Angry Joe in YouTube, I'm not saying Angry Joe is not powerful. Like, he doesn't have enough subscribers to actually, make it to where he can make people make decisions about buying products and stuff like that. But we're talking about the actual portrayal of gamers as a whole. If you have that type of popularity as a celebrity, even if it's on YouTube, wherever we get our power from celebrities is limited, and he's one of them. He is one of them. He has a voice for our community, and the way he shows that voice is very impactful to our culture. That's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not saying that he doesn't have good things to say. He hasn't changed the industry with his reviews or anything like that. He just didn't seem as if he knew the extent of his power and what it makes us look like.
And I would like to specify what the controversy is about as far as the Nintendo copyright policy. Pretty much, Let's Players and people who make money off viewing games, putting game content on YouTube through ad revenue. Nintendo's original policy was, we're not going to allow most of our games to be reviewed to be on YouTube, and you can't make money off of it. With their new policy, it states that you as a content creator, you as someone who posts online and makes money off of Let's Plays, if you wanted to play Mario Party 10, you would have to send your channel or that footage to an affiliated Nintendo channel. They would have to review it. It takes about 2 to 3 business days, and then they would give you 40% of whatever that revenue made. Nintendo being paid first, and then them reimbursing you about 30 days later.
But Angry Joe's wasn't specifically about that. He doesn't do Let's Plays. His is specifically reviews,
Yes.
and that's why it hurts him. He's not doing Let's Plays and getting money off Let's Plays. His is an actual review
Yes.
of a product,
And-
and it's affecting him.
that's
I'm
under
not
fair
saying
use
that-
that's under fair use to
Yes.
review a product.
But
Yes.
Nintendo is taking this giant blanket policy and doing it to all reviewers as well.
But see, Angry Joe has plenty of videos where he has done Let's Plays. So it's not like he is doing a specified, like something
And-
specific with his product. He has actually done a variety of things. He has gamers he plays with. He has Let's Play videos.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut off, but there's 3 main faults here. One is YouTube's policy of copyright. It's a very blanketed system. As a content creator versus big company, Google, which owns YouTube, doesn't want to be sued over any small stuff, so they don't take the chance. If a big company puts this in place, that's the rule. There's no way to work around that. And whenever they first initiated this copyright policy of auto detection, a lot of channels almost got shut down, including Total Biscuit. I think Jim Sterling's was it. Just because companies weren't notified about it as a whole.
But for this topic, we're talking about representation. Like, how are we representing the culture? Like, we can go all day long about whether it was right or wrong, the decision Angry Joe made.
But
we're talking about the power he has to represent the culture.
I honestly think, especially with that video, he made us seem like victims.
Yes.
Like-
What you got to say, man?
This is Omegaxis. I honestly feel like Angry Joe made a little bit too big of a stink about something that doesn't majorly affect him. Now,
Right.
he's openly said he doesn't review Nintendo games and whatnot because he doesn't own a lot of their systems or have the equipment to record for their system. So I feel like, in a way, he made too big of a deal about this whole thing. Like, yes, it affects people that he knows and things like that, and it might have some small effect on him. But for him to go out and make this big stink and for it to get as much publicity as it did over something that really doesn't apply to him.
Right.
Like, how are you going to get mad that Nintendo's taking down content that features their games when you don't put up much content that features their games to begin with?
And
You're alienating a whole segment of gaming culture,
Right.
and you want to go up in arms about something that company wants to do when you don't openly even support that company.
Right. Right.
How, like,
That is, I mean,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the Wii U that he got, that was donated to him.
right.
What?
Yeah, the Wii U that he received was donated to him.
But he said
he bought.
Yeah, he said he spent $190 on the system. He spent like $60 on controllers. He bought like 4 games for it that totaled like $190. And this
That's
is
the
how.
other
Okay,
accessories,
so-
but the Wii U itself was donated to
Okay,
him.
so just to stay on topic, let's say this. Do you want Angry Joe representing our culture?
Hell no.
No, I mean, like, seriously.
Seriously, hell no.
If we actually
I can say
want,
he has
if we
good
actually,
points.
if we actually
He
want
does.
him to go to City Hall as a journalist, or we want him to address
He's already gone to
politicians,
DC as a journalist before.
Right.
Whenever the Pip.
Yeah,
standards-
Sopa, Pippa.
Yeah. He actually, the entire group,
that guy with the glasses,
that guy with the
Channel Awesome
glasses,
and all that?
Channel Awesome.
Mhm.
They actually all went to DC and did
Right.
interviews. They actually went and talked in front of the Senate and everything.
right?
And he did a fantastic job while he was there. Just because his internet persona for that specific channel doesn't do it right, then that's the whole thing. Is the big media is just picking up on his Angry Joe rants,
Yeah.
and that's specifically that video is one of his rants, not one of his actual
He
reviews.
looks
Maybe
so
he should clean
defeated
up.
in those videos.
And
because a lot of
there's
people go to
actually
YouTube.
The entire video title, it specifically says
So
this is
then-
a rant.
Okay, so there's a problem here. Why are we internally confused about him in our own culture, but yet it's okay to let him represent our culture? Like, we're just totally confused about this guy.
All right, Magix. I actually have a question. Y'all remember when they did the speed runs for the charity, right?
Awesome games done quick.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Did anyone post about it? I got a point to the question. Did anyone post about it?
Are you
What,
talking about the
media
news?
or-
Right, no. Did y'all share? I'm talking about y'all
Every
yourself.
single day I post it on
Yeah.
Facebook. While it
Okay.
runs.
Now, how many people do you think actually posted Angry Joe's rant compared to the good stuff posted? Because I guarantee you, these news anchors, they don't search game news. All they do is look for what people are posting, and negative news gets posted more. So I feel like it might be a little bit our fault as gamers that we don't post a lot of the good news.
It's not necessarily.
So it doesn't travel as far, because we all know bad news travels farther than good news. I feel it might be a little bit our fault too.
What you got, man?
This is Recluse, and he's got a point. Bad news is what sells. I mean, we as gamers could go out of our way. Everybody in the entire world could post something good that happened, like Markiplier's charity live streams. He raised millions of dollars for cancer awareness, depression awareness, and things like that. But that never goes on the news. What goes on the news is, crap like Gamergate constantly.
Oh boy.
Okay, so
But-
all right.
Here's my thing. I don't mind Angry Joe representing us as a gaming culture. I just don't think he should be the only one. That's what the media is
Right.
picking up.
Just my personal opinion, I do mind it because there needs to be a little bit more positive coverage on his side of the spectrum, like games done quickly, or some of the charity events that he gets involved up. He needs more exposure on a local level, kind of like, and this is probably a landmine topic to bring up, but kind of like how police are being perceived in our nation. Okay, like when I look at police now, I look at their authority. I don't really, but I start to try to search more for like what they're actively doing with the community. Angry Joe is the same kind of person. If you want someone that represents us, you want to show that they're actively participating in the nurturing and development of our culture. Like what he does is not just for personal gain. That's the problem that I have personally.
The other big thing about it, this is Ice Age again, by the way. The other big thing about it, you can't, most of the people that watch, Angry Joe, James Rolfe, Angry Video Game Nerd and stuff, they understand that that's just a persona that they put on. It's not them as an actual person. Every now and then, you might see a little bit of themselves leak into the character, but you know that they're still just doing it for entertainment. Even though, you might see Angry Joe rant about stuff and explode about something, there are still a lot of things that he's done for gaming that has had a positive light, along the media.
I can back that up. I played with him on Guild Wars 2. Whenever he started the Angry Army on Guild Wars 2, I ran raids with him. He's a fantastic guy just to hang out
And
with.
at the same time, if you're going to say that persona is what makes a person a terrible person, then you're calling James Rolfe just because he does the whole Angry Video Game Nerd shit.
Okay.
That was his original thing, and he's one of the people that people know about.
Okay.
Big time
All right.
game.
All right. Got this. Okay. You bring up a valid point, and I'm sorry, I don't want to cut anybody off. But the biggest thing that I would like to say about that is that if you're going to say that, hey, anybody who watches their channel, those gamers know about him, then do we ever want to get outside that bubble of actually wanting people to respect us as a culture? To not feel like CNN, Fox News, anybody else, do we ever want them to take us seriously? Because when they see Angry Joe,
They think that's him.
when the normal people see Angry Joe, when people who don't watch channels like that see Angry Joe, they see a person whining and complaining about products, and they see people whining and complaining about things that are it's like he's belittling the culture to just toys. Like games aren't just toys.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, but Angry Joe's rants like that, not the angry rants about games, but the Xbox One rant and the Nintendo rant, that's him. That's just him being himself talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because I watched the Xbox ones. I was like, these are interesting. I like that he's putting this out there, letting people know. Yes, it's in a not very professional way, but he's doing what he can to get this information out there so people know, hey, don't stand for this. Don't support this.
And another thing is that he doesn't really have a satirical or an actual persona like Angry Video Game Nerd does, with the pocket protector and all that other. You can tell he gets in the character. Angry Joe actually makes it a big point and a big deal that he is very upfront, truthful, and realistic about what he has to say, pouring into it him and not some fake person.
That's honestly why I actually like his actual video game reviews, because I feel like he's giving his honest opinion and
Right.
a good opinion
And
on the games.
I will say one thing that, like, if they showed more, because I haven't seen much of his Angry Army stuff, but I do know it is like a lot of raiding, a lot of teamwork, a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
people
fantastic.
getting.
It's a great community to be a part of.
See, I think if he worked more on showing that
Right.
with his reviews,
Mhm.
people wouldn't be so quick to judge him on the Nintendo stuff or whatever he brings up controversial topics in this light. Because he seems like someone that's like, I have all these people behind me, but he's not showing why he has all these people behind
Exactly.
him. He's not a pillar of a community, he's a leader of an army. That's kind of a different thing,
Yeah,
at least to me.
it's not like he's out there saying like, hey, there's a culture and this is what we care about. This is why Nintendo, we don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is why. Instead, it's just like kind of like the Capcom thing with Street Fighter V. It's just like, Capcom, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. You gave me this and you gave me that. And it's kind of like just a whole bunch of whining about, you know, is that the persona, the whining part? Is that like he's trying to do that to make money, or does he really care about our culture? And this is what he's legitimately representing with the power that he has.
I need to say something. Well, with the people who go like, "Oh, is this the real person? This got to be the real person." You gotta understand, those are also the people who only go on YouTube to watch cat videos or to go on YouTube. No, mainly to watch the
Don't
person
generalize
get
that bad.
No, to watch the person electrocute himself. That was
No.
They don't go for
I will
they don't go
say-
for the people go like. They're not followers and not subscribers. They go just to watch videos.
No, if you're
They-
finding Angry Joe, you're interested in video games.
Yeah.
No,
he's not someone you're
Right.
just gonna
No,
click
because
on a bunch of links.
because you
and
got to
find.
realize some of these videos actually go up into the YouTube main page. Some of them just find it and go like, oh,
Angry
what is
Joe
this
is not
about?
popular enough to where
Okay,
he's gonna end up
alright,
on a
With
My-
that,
my-
with that being
yeah.
said, we're starting just over talking each other, okay? But I mean, he has this point. He feels as if like a general audience will just stumble upon him, which in some ways they won't. But the biggest thing that we need to take away from it is that as a gaming journalist, does he completely represent what we stand for as a culture?
I think he can.
He can, because he
can.
has
I
the
think
power.
He has
I agree
that
with
power,
that.
and I think he doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't respect his own power. Is the
Right.
problem.
That's my thing, and this will be my final thoughts on it. I like Angry Joe. I specifically like the content he puts out, and yes, while he doesn't represent the entire gaming culture as a whole, I don't want to censor him from the content that I like watching.
Right.
So yes, I do think that we should have more people representing this, but I don't think that he should have to change what people like just because it puts us in a bad light sometimes.
Right. And I'll say closing comments on this one. It's not the fact. It's kind of like just going off of what Omegaxis.
Omegaxis.
Okay, my bad. No, Omegaxis has to say. You know, he has the power to basically show that this culture is not something to be laughed at on Fox News. You know what I mean? And you don't show when it's kind of like if our president went on this whole rant and rave about something that was personal to him, and he said like, you know, this company's fucking stupid. I'm not dealing with this company anymore. Our surrounding nations, you know, around the world will kind of look at us as a little bit less as far as just like this weak leader. Not saying he's our leader, okay, but he's one of those very few personalities that we need in our culture to kind of uplift it, you know, in a way to where people won't look at us in a light to where we're like these just creepy nerd little people that complain about toys and all that other stuff. Instead, it's just like, hey, we're like the most powerful social community there is out there, and people respect that here. So we're trying to get bigger companies to respect that as well too. You know, a company like that is just going to address Angry Joe as one particular personality that doesn't speak up for the culture like we need him to. Because we honestly do. Regardless, and just not to get long-winded, regardless, he probably plays games very well. He probably socially interacts to accomplish missions in a game very well. But some of those strategies, some of that creative thinking, innovation needs to be brought to real life and uniting people in our culture to make a difference. And he may have fought for that difference once before, but we need to see it. Like, normal people need to see it, so that way we're not being trash talked about or looked down upon all the time. That's all.
Okay, I'm gonna have to throw this out there as well. When this is Ice Age again. Most people, huh? No, but when you say it like that, when you look at information just in general, if you want to find out something, the information is out there. Mm-hmm. And just because and most people, sadly, they don't look for everything. They look at whatever they see as the front and take that as the entire truth rather than actually going in a little deeper in depth.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, look at Wikipedia.
I love Wikipedia, but that's the extent of a lot of research these days.
Yeah, and that's the same thing, and that's kind of like what you're doing with, you say Angry Joe needs to show more. I'm like, he has shown more, it's just people haven't taken the time to look at it.
But normal people aren't going to take the time to look at it.
And that's sadly the problem.
And that's always going to be the problem until we have celebrities that stand up for our culture. And he is a celebrity that needs to actively stand up for it instead of using his persona to actually tell about how he feels. Like, you don't see someone as powerful as like Jay-Z in the hip-hop culture freaking, really saying how he feels. I mean, we deserve, as a culture, a little bit better exposure than that. Like, I shouldn't go across Yahoo News and be like, hey, thanks, Angry Joe, for not taking this opportunity to say something that's been a big problem for us in the gaming culture.
I have a question. We've ran it a lot on Angry Joe, but who else besides him and Angry Video Game Nerd are actually out there we know of that are actually doing that kind of supporting? Like they do.
Jim Sterling,
Game Grumps,
Yahtzee,
JonTron,
Best Friends Play.
We've talked a lot and ran a lot on them, on just Angry Joe and his deals, but I haven't seen.
Hammered on him way harder.
Well,
no, I don't know. I don't know what else.
Because of the fact that I read the news every day. I read multiple news outlets. He works for a station, and there aren't too many news outlets that actually say anything about video games at all, especially attaching it to a personality. The last time they do, normal news outlets do, was PewDiePie, and that's only because the only time they mention him is because he makes a lot of money. Like, that was the only time they mentioned him, like, this YouTuber makes this much money on YouTube.
And that was my whole point, was just they pick in media. I work for them. Mm-hmm. I know they pick and choose. They pick and choose what they want to run. So that's why I was saying it's not just one personality's fault that they just randomly, there's somebody that's angry, we'll just snap him up and portray him as the gaming community. It's not their fault that the media did that.
Right.
It's like I said earlier about Markiplier. He's done a lot of good work, but you'll never see a news station ever say anything about it.
Because bad news is good news. Sadly, that's the point.
But that goes back to, like I said, I don't feel that he respects his power. Like, look, just taking myself. This is Omegaxis, by the way. I'm a teacher. I have to protect my image because when my students see me outside of the classroom, they have to see that I'm still the same person outside of the classroom that I am inside of the classroom. Just the other day, I met a family of some of my kids at Walmart, and they ran up to me. They were like, "Oh, hey, it's such and such." They gave me a hug and everything because I was the same person that they see in school. I respect my image and how I'm portrayed to other people.
But that's the whole thing. Should he have to change himself completely? Because I like him as Angry Joe in the game.
I don't think he should have to change. I really don't feel that he has to change. I just think he has to be a bit more careful about things like that. When he does his opinion and says all that stuff, bad-mouthing companies like that, just be a little bit more careful about that. So recognize that you are a celebrity and you do have some voice and some pull within the community.
That is a good point. Going back to the Capcom thing, okay? Mm-hmm. That did not reach the news outlet. He bashed the hell out of Capcom. But when you target an iconic company like Nintendo, you're talking about a family generational company where soccer mom knows Nintendo, but she can't identify what's a PlayStation and an Xbox. You know what I mean? Like, but she knows Nintendo. It's like what he's saying. If he respected his power enough to kind of say, to not like make a mockery of like Nintendo's decision, instead use that power to say, here, there's a culture behind us that actually cares about this product too. It is not just a kid's product. we need a little bit more respect on that end. It would have been him using his power as leverage to inform Soccer Mom and the rest of the...
Yeah, but then you're saying that he has to treat every company differently, and he has to censor himself for some companies rather than others.
No, not censor. Like, you don't have to censor yourself with Nintendo. I don't agree with the YouTube thing. I really don't. Like,
I do not either.
I honestly believe that Nintendo would make money regardless. Like, to me, it seems
They'd
like...
make more money.
Yeah, they would make money without YouTube, and they will make money with YouTube.
Mandating that he changes his content specifically for that company is a form of censorship.
Not necessarily. There
But
are ways that
not
you address
It's not we're
companies.
pushing anything on him. It's just it's a decision he needs to make personally for
Right.
himself to help better the community.
That's-
It's not something anyone feels that we need to push onto him. It's just he has power. He needs to recognize and respect his own power.
It's like if you're in a position where you do get on the spotlight often, if he would have like made himself less of a victim of it, because I get it, you got a copyright strike on your channel over some content that really it shouldn't have been striked. The whole thing shouldn't have happened. And as a YouTuber, if your livelihood's on YouTube and you get a copyright strike, that's a big deal. But he didn't talk. He talked about how much he like put into buying Nintendo instead of saying, Nintendo, this practice is wrong. You're hurting one free advertisement for you. You're hurting. He did bring up like it's showing people enjoying your games, but he didn't really say that why the practices were wrong.
I understand where you're coming from. I'm sorry. I need to say that. I do understand where you're coming from because he has a character and content that we enjoy.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's sad to me that in
Right.
the gaming culture we say if you become so popular, you have to change who you are then at that point.
No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is
look at
that
Nostalgia Critic.
he's powerful now. He
Yeah.
is.
Like-
And when it comes to the point he's so powerful that he actually reaches regular news outlets, it's kind of time to analyze what you're going to say and what you can't say to either benefit the culture or benefit yourself. Now, he's benefiting himself when he addresses content the way he does because he makes money. But that's where we start questioning, is he about the culture? Is he not about the culture? Like, when things like that happen. And then, like, next time I bring up somebody like this, I'll have resources to actually quote off of and to support the conversation.
And
But I don't mean to take. We want to make sure everybody's sticking up their fingers and everything. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to actually speak. Mr. TJ, your frosted animal crackers. You had anything to say about those?
Be quiet about it. Leave me alone.
I did have one thing about the Angry Joe situation. I haven't really talked much about the Angry Joe situation. But as for right now, he did hit Yahoo with negative. But what no one else is realizing, all he has to do is, if he puts out a new video, whether it be like in the good light of the culture and anything, how much you want to bet that it's the news will look at it, and a lot more than normal people, as in normal people like consumers that don't look at game news, they're gonna see it because now that Angry Joe, they're gonna think it's another rant. He has that power,
Yeah,
like
he
you
does
said.
have the
If he
power to
puts
bounce
out
back.
another video and just talks his main reasons why he feels that, and like you said, Gsquared, about like how he is in the culture, how it deals with everyone, and how it should be accepted, and how he came to be. Like, I feel like that video would be seen just as much as his
I will
rant.
guarantee you, as somebody that works in the media will not publish that second video.
They don't have to publish it, but
No, that's the whole thing. It won't be on Yahoo's main page, so it won't get out there.
But that's the thing. It don't have to be. He already got there. So if he does another video,
it's already
the
over.
normal
You're
people
thinking
are already
about
going back
consumers
to it.
Way wrong. Consumers in the news, they want small, digestible pieces. They don't do further research on their own.
That is
And
true.
it's already over.
That is true.
Somebody that
No,
works in
that
the
is
news.
true. But I will say this, that we can't hold Angry Joe as an internal community thing anymore. Like, it just so happens. I wish we had other people to speak about. I really, really wish that there were
Yeah.
multiple
And that's-
celebrities to speak about.
It's Haradani here. That's why I asked earlier. It's like that's why I asked who else besides Angry Joe do we have supporting us? Because I know we here at Omega Tech, we're trying. That's what our goal is try to bring the better part of the community up.
Right.
But we're not celebrities here.
Right.
We can't push. We can only
Not
push
yet.
so
YouTube,
forward.
I don't know about you.
We
guys.
we have
I don't know
ideas.
about you
We
guys.
got plans with
We got
stuff
some
and things. You're gonna
things
see us
still-
on YouTube soon.
We'll get
Right.
there, but as of right now, the outside world looking in. They're looking at Angry Joe. They're looking at Angry Video Game Nerd.
Right.
People from Channel Awesome and YouTube. That who else? We just need other people
We do.
willing
And
to
he-
stand up for us.
Exactly. And he happened to hit that spotlight with a persona. And it's just like, I love you, man. I love what you're trying to do. Internally, we would laugh at that kind of content, and we would want to keep that to ourselves.
Yeah.
But as soon as he landed on the big news media outlets, you're not to ourselves anymore. Now we need you to stand for us. You know what I mean? Like, while we have that publicity. Because we're being made a mockery of.
Yeah, he may not chose to get put there, but he's now
He's now there.
He's now
he's
in that
there. He
position.
now has to make a conscious
Unfortunately,
decision.
the way the news works, he was there.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
But-
probably not going to
But
pick
we're
up on
talking
everything
about
from-
technology now. We're talking about news. To me, is Yahoo News. It's not CNN and Fox anymore. I don't go to their sites. I go to where the search engines are. I go, and most people do that. Like MSN, Bing, anything like
As soon
that.
as they
It's-
turn on their computer, the news is right there.
Exactly.
To touch back earlier about spreading awareness of your product through YouTube. Like YouTubers are like the biggest monetary gain for companies ever. Like Lucky Games, like Five Nights at Freddy's,
Yes.
an indie company by like what one started by one guy.
Scott Cowling.
Yeah, started by one guy who's now making millions of dollars.
To the point where he's donating for St.
movie
Jude.
now. He sold the rights to Hollywood, and they're making a
Warner
movie.
Brothers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
look at that, and he got all that exposure by YouTubers.
Because I guarantee, because I heard about Five Nights at Freddy's through Jim Sterling. He did a green light trailer review for it. And if it wasn't for him and other people like Markiplier, PewDiePie, Yogscast, the stuff like that, that game would still be sitting on green light. It's a game about animatronics. Like, I don't want to spend my $5 there whenever I could buy Saints Row 4.
I mean, like really, when you look at it, it's a game about a bunch of static images that sometimes move to make jump scares.
Right.
Whereas you got Nintendo, who makes these AAA massive games like Legend of Zelda, Metroid, things like that, Mario, and it's just like, if you were to let YouTubers get a hold of your product and show people,
Right.
that they're having fun and it's enjoyable with their personas or the reviews or whatever, that's
just roll in.
yes,
I think
exactly.
we're getting a
You
little
start
off topic,
printing
though.
money.
I think so.
I think we
gotta
pretty much
say something real
exhausted.
quick. On that note, there's plenty of YouTubers like like Smosh and stuff like that, where they've literally shown games like their gameplay, and to me it looked really really fun to play it just because they were having a blast playing it. So I agree completely with
Right.
him.
Yeah.
But
Not
just
to-
like
yeah, we're
the
way
news-
off topic.
Yeah,
We're
we're
trying
trying.
back on the news. A lot of the people who watch the news still lived in an era where you can't make money unless you go out and work. Can't make money unless you go out and work, and that's not true anymore because we've got so many other ways to doing it now. And for Persona, I have one Persona. He's called MatPat. If anyone have heard of him,
Yep.
who makes game theory, and I like him personally because he brings the story, the lore of the game, to a way where it's like, holy, wow, these people actually think through what they're trying to do, and it's very in depth. And
Right.
I feel like it
Right.
brings stuff like realism to our culture.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now, the overall topic was about the media and how we felt about it. So this conversation could honestly go on all day long, and we obviously everybody around the table, they've had something to say because this is the culture itself is something that we feel deeply about. Okay, but with that being said, we can honestly say that we want the gaming media to show how powerful, how dedicated, how united of a culture we actually are. And when we do get those celebrities, we want to start holding them accountable to actually represent that a little bit more, instead of showing the side of us that is the very opinionated side where we want to crush like people all day long because of our opinions, or these companies, we want to hold them accountable. So with that being said, we'll start to close things out a little bit, but first, the bonus topic. Okay?
Oh dear.
The bonus topic.
Hey, you don't even know about it.
Yeah, nobody knows about it. I think I want to keep it secret up until like the actual podcast himself, and only tell like one person. Okay. If you had one video game move that you can use and use only once, okay.
Damn it!
What move would you use, and on what, or where, or whatever the case may be, and from what video game does it come from? Anybody. We'll allow people a little bit of time to think about it. I'll actually just...
We'll start with Gsquared, because he's had time to think on this, because he knew the question.
Okay.
So, what move?
Okay, alright. You can only use it once, but there are just some people, I just want to save it, even if I save it for a lifetime, just a Dragon Punch, like where I use Dragon Punch, okay, to actually just uppercut that one good person and paralyze them to the point where you're going to come back from it, but you're going to remember that you're going to fear me for the rest of your life.
You're going to be like, can he do it again?
And
he can do it again.
I'm not the most violent person, but there are people that, like, I just want to, sure you can, and, like, completely annihilate. But that's my one. It might not be to benefit the good of mankind.
I feel like he would use it on, like, a celebrity, just so it gets published in TV, so he never has to deal with anyone. He says, "I just uppercut someone on TV and show you can."
But what does anybody else have? I think that would be the one. So y'all can't use that one.
No, you can't do that.
I've already said it.
Dragon Punch is mine. You can't use it.
Yeah.
No, because if someone else wants it,
they go shit Shoryuken to your Shoryuken.
yeah. Mine's better.
And if you want to go further than that, I'll Mazatsu Shoryuken you in the jaw.
All right. So what we got? Ooh, round table. It can be equipment too.
All
so
right.
like if you have a game where you just want a specific piece of equipment, see now I want that back.
I would have gotten them.
Yeah. Now I want that back, but I've already used mine.
I know what my move is. I can't remember the anime, but like he actually it was like
It needs to be a video game.
I'm in the
video game.
I'm pretty sure it's in a video game.
Nah,
I'm pretty sure Dom would know like the actual anime. Like he'll shoot, but like he has like what's it called? Is it Trigun? No.
The Angel Arm on Trigun?
Yeah, I think so. Like
That's
where he only has one bullet and he shoots it and it like everything just blows off of his arm.
That's strictly anime, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought
No
they maybe
Trigun.
put in the game.
There's no Trigun game.
I gotta.
What you got? Warframe?
No, I gotta go with the Falcon Kick.
Oh, the Falcon kick?
Oh my
I got
Why
the
are you
Falcon
gonna be
Kick.
so violent? See,
I don't
now
know.
we're getting
Show
back-
you can. You shut up. No.
You know, I really didn't think
Why?
other people would actually like
No.
Beat up people?
take the
No.
violence and
We're
kinda
still
roll with it.
people.
We're still people.
Why are you guys so violent? I mean, I just want to fire punch somebody right now.
Alright, so why was you on Falcon Kick?
Okay.
I want a Falcon Kick to show that I will kick your ass from a mile away, and you better not mess with my culture.
Wow, man.
Holy
Like,
crap, dude.
what Falcon kick is this?
I mean, yeah, it only goes to like maybe a yard.
Yeah.
Mine is a mile.
Okay.
Oh.
It's from from Captain Falco from Smash Bros. He did it. He uses it.
Oh boy.
Oh shit!
I don't want to fuck Captain
Oh,
Falco.
Captain Falco!
I'll keep my hands off his bread.
He
He started a new
Smash
pecking
Bros.
order.
Only, but he's had other games.
All right, so does somebody have something else?
I got one. Oh, I think I got one.
Sage got one.
Oh boy. Okay, now this is just to a general group that I'm gonna do this one to. But specifically, I want to be able to do Sindel's X-ray combo from Mortal Kombat 9 to just about everybody who tries to swat somebody. And I'm gonna go a little bit in detail with it. How the move works is my hair would grab your leg up, I would kick you right in between your thigh and your nuts to where your bone gets dislodged, and my elbow comes right down on your knee. To everybody who swats, I'm gonna do that to you in the future, hopefully Fuck y'all!
Show you get.
Just as a disclaimer, I really didn't. Gamers aren't violent. We're really cool.
we only want to kick people, dragon punch them,
and
Send out X-ray combo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's aimed at just swatters.
All right, we got another one. What you got?
Armageddon from Persona 4.
Spoiler alert. We're violent.
What is that? I have no idea what that is.
That is death in a bottle, except for anybody against Elizabeth, Theodore, or Margaret.
What does it look like?
Basically, giant beam down, explosion. You're dead. That is the biggest damaging move in the game series.
Now, see, mine's at least
I
aimed
mean,
at a group
he only
of
wants
terrible
to
people.
wipe out an entire race
Yeah.
of people, maybe
I
like
want-
a
I wanna-
planet.
Basically, if I get fucked with, I need to make a statement.
God damn!
I want to make a statement.
I have one, and it's like not violent at all.
Oh, okay.
Mine's good. I
swear
want
to
the
God.
mind-reading player pin from The World Ends With You, so I can turn it on whenever I want, and just know what the heck you're thinking and doing.
You can only use this power once.
That's fine. I'll make it count.
By the
I'll
way,
find
with
the
the
time and
mind
make it
player
count.
pin, you can switch people's thoughts.
That's
Okay.
dark.
Yeah.
That's dark.
All right.
You
well,
can implant thoughts into people's head.
okay. So now that we know that we're mind reading like very
Showed you
like,
can send out
aggressive
comboers.
gamers, like who else has something?
This branches from both anime and video games, but Shikamaru's Shadow Jutsu, where
Shadow
all we
Jutsu.
have to do is connect shadows and you are mine.
Yeah.
But if we're talking
Motherfucker
equipment,
controls
I will take a Pip-Boy 3000 any day.
Okay.
Fallout.
You know, you need to put a little more detail. We need to have a good and a bad.
No. It's just one move. You can only use it
Yeah.
once. So I don't think that's a bad move. You can just only use it once. He said,
Armageddon was
like,
basically
"You're mine
that
until it
before
turns
you-
dark."
That was a
and then
card you had to
everybody's
buy.
mine or something.
His Jutsu goes hard, like
It does.
it
Okay.
does.
It's basically mind control,
Got it. So
and he can do it
was
up
this
to multiple
was there
people.
somebody?
So evil.
I got a good. No, I have a nice
make you
one.
know.
But sadly, I've already said mine.
It's between me and him.
All right, what we got? Two more.
Snap fingers on.
What you got?
Go ahead, man.
Yo, dog, I'm still thinking.
I'm glad that
That's.
don't
I
count.
mean, use once. That is like.
use
Yeah,
once.
yeah. Use once.
Use once.
Non-violent.
Hey, mine ain't violent.
Man,
Mine's violent.
you know, I don't.
I'm wiping out a country.
God dang!
Yeah, you didn't.
It's not.
You know how powerful Armageddon is.
Turkey, you changed your name to Ham.
Armageddon.
It's not very.
Just snap my
specific,
fingers.
right?
That's just
It's
down.
kind of a general thing, but I don't know. Anybody that just summons a giant mech, Big O, Roger from
Oh,
Big
okay.
O. I don't even want to do anything with it. It's just freaking awesome.
Oh, you
just
just
one
want it
time,
there.
it's just like, well,
Yeah,
look
but-
what I got.
But
Hey,
the
baby.
mech never goes away, so he wins. He's like, I still got a mech, guys.
That is true.
Be like, hey, baby.
What you got, Garrett or TJ? One of you two.
Oh crap! I was trying to hide this entire time.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like Thor's hammer.
If anything, the dragon shout from Skyrim.
Oh,
Just
that's a pretty good one. It's not like
so
really
you
really
can see
violent. It
something
just
ragdoll?
sends.
You can
Just go like, hey man, you guys need help taking down this building real quick?
Boost! No, he wants to go
not
from
just
mine to DC. Go like, hey, why don't you guys stop doing?
No, it's even worse. Just boost. Boost is the worst. It just makes people trip a little bit. Not even the full boost
No,
from
the whole thing. So you get that one douchebag who's just being a complete douchebag and be like, hey,
You
come
just
here,
ragdoll him.
Come here. No, it's like, hey, come here. I want to whisper something to you. Scooch! And he's gone.
Slow down.
You'd probably be the best
You
friend
only-
after
you
that.
only- you
But it's
know-
like, if you rag down and do like 360s in the air, I think you'd just be having a field day more than you'd be like, oh my god, you just yelled at
I
me.
mean, you only get to use it once, so you better make it count.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'll make it count.
Okay.
Garrett, come here. I got something to tell you.
Garrett is our last one.
You know what?
He's our last one.
Naruto.
Oh boy.
I want to have Recluse's power of being able to open all the gates.
and then die.
I will die!
It's a one-time.
you get to use it
It's a
once.
I get to use it once!
Unless you're my guy.
Lotus.
In that case, you
I just want to Lotus somebody.
You just went straight YOLO.
We'll see.
Fuck it, yeah, I will Lotus that one person. I will die, but news will forever be changed.
I would commit
Have you
Yeah.
seen the Lotus?
Hold on,
No.
hold on.
No. You must see this Lotus.
Got you. Okay,
Hidden
so
Lotus
we've
Bloom
actually got everybody. I mean, there are a couple of topics that we can actually come up with. We're actually bringing things to a closing. I appreciate all of you and all of your opinions. I'm pretty sure everybody appreciates every other person's opinion about gaming media.
I'm sure you appreciate how anti-talkative I was this time.
No.
You appreciate I appreciate you.
It's actually good.
Gamergate.
These are topics that need to be addressed, and this isn't the last time that it is probably going to be talked about. So, with that being said, I hope everybody else enjoyed the podcast. If anybody, once this gets out on Facebook, make sure you share with other people, get more people involved.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Like, comment, no, not subscribe. Yeah, I don't think.